The lady who was buried alive. Marjorie McCall was married to John McCall, who was a doctor, and they lived in Church Place, Lurgan, County Armagh, Ireland. In 1695, Marjorie caught a fever and, believed to be dead, her family held awake and promptly buried her to halt the spread of the disease. Marjorie was buried with an expensive ring, and this attracted grave robbers who could profit from selling the body and from the jewellery. On the night after Marjorie's burial, grave robbers arrived and began to dig her up. Her body was swollen as a result of her illness and they could not remove the ring, so they started to cut her finger off. The moment blood started to pour from her finger, Marjorie was revived from her coma, sat up and screamed. Scared out of their wits, the grave robbers dropped everything and ran off. Marjorie clawed herself out of the grave and walked home. Her husband, John, was at home with the children when he heard a knock at the door. He said to them, "If your mother were still alive, I would swear that was her knock." Upon opening the door to find his wife standing there, blood streaming from her finger, yet very much alive, he collapsed from shock and died. He was subsequently buried in the grave Marjorie had vacated. Marjorie was said to have lived on for many years, remarried and had more children. And when she did eventually die, she was buried in a plot in Shankill Cemetery, which reads, "Lived once, buried twice." Her grave is still there. As for the grave robbers, nobody knows what happened to them. Where did they go? Did they stop with their grave robbing activities? Like and follow at Lost Past Stories on YouTube, Instagram and TikTok. Barbara was known for liking to shock people as part of her consistent attention seeking, so it is not clear whether her claims were fantasy or true. Tensions between mother and son escalated over the next few years, and it is reported they often had explosive arguments. Anthony became violent and tried to harm his mother on repeated occasions. In July 1972, he tried to throw his mother into traffic outside their exclusive apartment home in Cadogan Square, Chelsea, London. Luckily, he was not strong enough and Barbara survived. Anthony was arrested for attempted murder, but Barbara refused to press charges. He was admitted to a private hospital for treatment, but it was not long before he was released. Anthony became increasingly paranoid, and a psychiatrist warned Barbara she was in danger of being harmed by him, but she refused to accept it. On November the 17th, 1972, Anthony and Barbara had another explosive argument during which Anthony murdered his mother by stabbing her with a kitchen knife. When the police arrived, he was calmly ordering a Chinese takeaway meal. After his arrest, it became clear Anthony was unaware he had killed his mother, even asking how she was and when she would be visiting him. Despite attempts to get him extradited from the UK to America for treatment, he is found guilty of manslaughter and sent to Broadmoor, which is one of the most secure hospital prisons in the UK. 8 years later, in 1980, wealth and influence secured his release despite the objections of his father Brooks, who believed Anthony was capable of killing again. Anthony returned to the US to live with his 87-year-old grandmother. Just 6 days later, they got into an argument and he stabbed her 8 times. Luckily, she survived. Anthony was sent to Rikers Island prison. Attempts to grant him bail were delayed while waiting for his medical records from Broadmoor in the UK. And on March 20th, 1981, Anthony was found dead in his cell after being suffocated with a plastic bag wrapped around his face. His death was never verified as suicide or murder. Like and follow at Lost Past Stories on YouTube, Instagram and TikTok